Today we're comparing two apple pies. America's apple pie of freedom versus Soviet Union's apple pie of depression, food shortages, and my childhood. My childhood was great. Anyway, let's not waste any more time and let's roll, baby. Need a bowl. First, let's start off with the Soviet Union's apple pie. Let's get 200 grams of butter. A knife. It's not a knife. It's a knife. This is apple pie that I've grown to kind of love. Later on we'll see why. So 200 grams of unsalted butter goes into a container. Now what we're gonna do is put it in a microwave on low power for like a minute until it's turned into a liquid. Great. Next, let's cut up some apples. We're gonna peel out 4 to 5 sour apples, preferably, but you can use whatever apples you have, and then cut them thinly into, how are these called? Like chips. Let's get a peeler and let's begin our work. Also, once we will cut the apples, you can toss them in some lemon juice so they don't get brown, but it's not necessary. Let's do one continuous peel. Oh man, no. And there you have it, one peel. Let's get rid of these. You can dry these and eat them later, or eat them now, or just throw them away if you like to waste food. I'll see you once I peel all the apples. Let's do a little time lapse. Great, we peeled the apples. Now it's time to cut them up. I'll see you in like 2 seconds. This is a problem I face all the time. I always use too small of a cutting board. God damn it! But we can live with that. It's like a Mr. Beast challenge for these apples. If you get out, you lose. Cut them pretty thinly, like it's like 1/4 of an inch or like 1/2 centimeter thick, and store them in a bowl for later usage. Oh shit, that was not supposed to happen. Great. As I said, put a little bit of lemon if you want, but it's not necessary. Now move these aside, and by this time you can preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And now it's time for the dough, baby. Get a mixing bowl. In it we will combine 4 medium-sized eggs. 1, 2, 3, 4. I see some shells. Get that out of here. Cool. Now use a hand mixer or your hands with a whisk. I'm gonna use the big guns. Where is the damn scale? Oh, there it is. Perfect. We're gonna mix the eggs with some sugar. 180 grams to be precise, or as it turns out, about a cup. Also, let's add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla sugar. 1 and 2. Now let's start mixing and let's start pouring in the sugar. So, oh yeah, look at that. Make sure it's like 2 to 3 times the size once we're finished. So first I'll just whisk up the eggs. Oh shit, what the fuck was that? I don't know how I'm gonna explain this. This just fell off. Let's keep on whisking. The sound is haunting me. Okay, let's start pouring the sugar and let's continue. You know what? I might just actually use for one hand, whatever it's called.
Sometimes my genius is, it's almost frightening.
Let's go, baby! I'm a neck bender. Look at this. Look at this! Oh! Turbo! Yeah, baby! Look at that. It's all like fluffy. Yeah, it has to be like foam almost consistency, so let's continue. This is definitely done. Look at that. It has definitely doubled or tripled in size and it's all like foamy. Basically what we are making is just like a cake, a white cake with some apples. That's what they used to eat. Now get your melted butter that has cooled off and whisk a bit more while you pour in the butter. Just make sure it's not hot because the eggs can like scramble, you know? Okay, so there we go. Pour in the butter. It's pretty well mixed in. And now it's time for the dry ingredients. Let's weigh out 250 grams of all-purpose flour and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. That's about 1. Now, if you're making this to impress your friends or you're making it for like your Soviet Union theme party or whatever. You can sift the dry ingredients through a fine mesh sieve and mix it beforehand with a whisk. I'm not gonna do that. You could use a spoon. If I could find a spoon, I would use that. And carefully mix in the flour. Don't use the mixer because the air bubbles will just go away. Let's pour in the flour a little bit at a time and mix it in slowly and nicely. Smack that bowl. It's been a bad bowl. As you can see, the butter has separated, which is not ideal, probably. We'll see how it goes. Don't overdo it. Now I see why it says to sift it, because I see a lot of lumps. Now it's time for the apples. Our good old apples. Put almost all of them into the batter, but leave some for the top. Just make an ornament or something. It's like apple goo, maybe a bit too much apple, but we'll see how it goes. I don't know what I'm doing. I've told you this a billion times probably. Great. Get your cake form, and all that is left to do is just pour in the batter, all of it, if possible. Get in there. I'm using this silicone pan that is 9 inches wide, I think. You can use any other container. Just don't forget to put in some baking paper on the bottom if you're not using silicone. You know what? The batter tastes good, so I hope it turns out well. Now let's do the ornament. Eat the rest of the apples. That's some good apple. And put it in the oven for 30 to 45 minutes. And we'll see how it goes. So, see you then. And it's done. There we go. Oh, no. Fluffy. Now leave it to cool for like, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. Then we will dust it off with some powdered sugar. And now it's time for the real apple pie. Beautiful shapes. Beautiful. And then we will compare the two. So let's get on with the American apple pie. Yeah, great. Now the freedom pie of apples. The American apple pie. First off, 350 grams of all-purpose flour. Now whisk in or just mix in half a teaspoon of salt. And now it's time to cube and add in 250 grams of unsalted butter. Right now we're making the pie crust. Now let's cube this little son of a bitch. Just make sure the butter is cold, not like freezing, but straight from the fridge, because we don't want it to be a liquid. And I'm using this technique of cubing and then just pressing it into the flour. Now add in all those cubes, just make sure to separate them. This is cubism, like Picasso, right? Do I know anything about art? Now cover all of these cubes in flour, and with your thumbs, just press them into the flour, like just press them in like so, each separate one, until you have no big lumps of butter. You can use both hands. It will be twice the speed. Just make sure to cover it in flour. Like, don't let it stick to your hands. Also, don't like overwork it. If it's becoming too gooey, too liquidy, too hot basically, plunk it in the fridge and continue after like 5-10 minutes. We want the butter to be as cold as possible. And again, same mistake, too small of a bowl. That's what you call a callback. Shit. This is actually fun. You could outsource this job to your kids if you have any. Don't use other people's kids. It's child abuse then. As you can see, it's starting to become like this sand-like mixture, but we still have a bunch of like these huge butter follicles. So just get rid of all of them. Please try. That's what my mom said. Please try. It's starting to look like what we need, as you can see. I don't see any more huge lumps. Cool. Oh, look at that. Look at that sand. See? It's like sand. Now move quickly. Clean off the tabletop. Now we're gonna line the bottom with plastic wrap. Yeah. Make it huge because we're gonna separate it into 2 pieces. There we go. Great. Now we're gonna need ice cold water. Just fill a cup maybe. We're not gonna use all of it. I'll even add some ice cubes. Okay, great. Now, what we will do is pour in a little bit of this ice cold water, mix, and see when the dough starts sticking, but almost sticking together. We're gonna pour it out onto this saran wrap, and then we're gonna put it in the fridge for like half an hour to an hour. It's gonna be way more crumbly this way. So pour in some water and mix. Make sure the water is cold, like you have to keep everything cold. Okay, I feel like this is it. So you can see it's Not like one cohesive ball of dough, but it's close to that. So don't need it too much also. Just move it onto this saran wrap, cellophane, and get all of that beautiful dough out. So buttery. It's gonna be so good. There is our dough. Now again, I miscalculated the size of the cellophane or saran wrap. So I'm gonna just put this one huge lump in and then cut it in half once it's cooled because it's getting pretty warm. Like so. There we go. Now plonk this slab of dough into the fridge for like half an hour to an hour until it's very cool and moisturized. See you then. Great. Now in the meantime, we can cut 6 Granny Smith apples that are green. Wait, there's no other color Granny Smith apples. Anyway, first we'll peel them off. Again, this is gonna take a while, so I'll see you in like about now. Good. The apples are peeled. Now let's core them out and slice them into chip-sized pieces. Now it's time to cut them up and toss them with some cinnamon in a bowl. So let's do that. Again, cut them thinly. So good. Just don't forget to core them out real good and leave no skin on. Now add in like 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. Ooh. Oh shit. That is a bit more. And mix. Make sure to cover all of the apples with cinnamon. It smells so good. This stuff is very dry. The apples are all covered. Now just let them sit while we roll out the dough. Now preheat the oven to 200 degrees Celsius. Now while the oven is heating up, get a work surface. Sprinkle a generous amount of flour. Also keep some on the side. And get your dough. I'm gonna use like 70% of it for the base and 30% for the top. 50 and then like 20. Something like that, yeah. There we go. Now the rest goes into the fridge. Now get a rolling pin and flour it also. This doesn't look good. At first, try to press it in and don't let it crumble away. You want a 1 whole piece, even though that is hard to do. So just work it, baby. Once it heats up a bit, it's gonna be easier to work with. Patch up any cracks, like this one. This is huge. This is the most annoying part for me. Once we make through this, we're good. This marbling of butter, it's so nice. Take our form and we can see it fits, but it has to go inside still, so we still need more room. So keep working the dough. Yeah, this should be about right. Now, pour it down real nice. And the rolling pin. Now fold onto the rolling pin so we can transfer it nicely, like so. That's it. We got it. Now moistly roll it in here, like so. Let it drop in. I already can see that this part needed more dough, but it's fine. We can live with that as long as we have a good base. So yeah, can try and glue on some of that dough, but it's not gonna stick. I already know it. Just leave some hanging from the outside because the dough will shrink. Maybe a bit more here. This part is done. We have our base. Now you can put it in the oven for 10 to 15 minutes and then we'll take it out and poke some holes in it and then put it in for another 9 to 7 minutes. So let's do that. The dough is in the oven and all now we need to do is just the lid of the pie, the top. So try to make an oval that would be the size of the form. It turned out better because I floured the work surface better. So set it aside, get the oven mitts ready and get the crust out. It came out kind of weird. You can see the cracks. This is a good side. No, it's not. Anyway, it's gonna be fine. We can fix all of this. Get a fork and poke a bunch of little holes on the bottom and be careful not to poke through your silicone mold. What I can tell you is that the dough is crispy as hell. Now it's back to the oven for another 9 to 7 minutes. And in the meantime, we're gonna make our butter caramel that will go on top of the apple. So now let's turn to the stovetop. Great! Get a small sauce pot. In it, we're gonna add 110 grams of unsalted butter. Also get a spoon to mix. Great, now once it's all melted, add in half a cup of white and half a cup of brown sugar. and get these suckers to melt. So just mix until it's fully melted. Oh no, 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 no. Okay, I smell some burning. That's why we will add 3 tablespoons of flour. It's 1 and it's 3. Don't let it burn. No, 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 no. I'll pour in 1/4 cup of water. And we have our caramel. Turn off the heat. Now let's turn back to the tabletop. Great, we got our shrunken pie crust. Now add in the apples, all of them, don't be shy. Oh yeah, this is great. Now let's get our freshly made molten caramel. Pour it over the apples. Don't leave anything in the pot, just go at it. Wow, look at that stuff. And let's cover it with our top crust. Just go like so. And try to get into the parts that are affected, like this part was, and all the other parts. You can ribbon the top, but I just like a plain old slab of dough on top. That's just a personal preference. Then we can take the leftover caramel maybe, and just drizzle it on top, spread it around, so it becomes like this hard candy-like layer on top. And the final step is scoring the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe sprinkle a little bit of sugar on top. And now off she goes into a 190 degrees Celsius oven for about 45 minutes. So I'll see you then. Don't break it. Don't. Alrighty, let's serve some pie. This has rested for approximately 50 minutes. It's still pretty runny. It's a bit of a goo. Now it's time to compare it. Oh wait, one more thing. Some ice cream. Vanilla ice cream would be nice, but I got myself some maple walnut ice cream. Now is the time to compare it against the Soviet apple pie. It's been a while since I made this pie, so give me 1 minute. Ooh, just like freshly baked. And a bit of the traditional decoration of powdered sugar. And there you have it, folks. 2 completely different apple pies. The Obama's favorite apple pie, and I don't know, probably every Soviet leader liked this one. All that is left to do is compare the 2. So I'll start off with this one first. Actually, this is the first time I'm making this one. And yeah, what I expected. This goes great with milk. It's just some white buttery cake with apples, but the cake itself is very nice. It is a bit floury. I didn't mix it well before baking, but it's also super buttery and not too sweet, as I said. So the apple helps to balance it out. It's a bit sour, so this is great, like, and easy. This took me like an hour. This one, on the other hand, I know it's better. It took me like 4 hours. Is it worth it though? Let's find out. Oh yeah. A bit of ice cream. Oh yeah, it's worth it. This is clearly the winner. See you in the next one. Peace.